There it goes. All right. I refuse to uniformly introduce anything ever. So,
As it should be.
as it should be. This.
Oh, well, I mean, you asked me first last time, so what have you been up to?
Oh my god.
Games you've been playing?
I'm still playing Velatro. I've
That's
made it all the way up to Orange Steak at this point on one of the decks.
solid.
I'm in misery. Might actually suck. Actually,
Ah,
it my run is entirely dependent on what tag I get first. And if it's a
uh-huh.
bad first tag, I just start a new run out the gate because it's not gonna happen.
That's understandable.
Um, what else have I been playing? Um, that's an interesting question because I have a second job now. So have I been playing anything really?
I saw you playing that Firebreak game.
I did play. Yeah, it's we did. I'm a big fan of the company that made that game. So I tried it and it's kind of mid. It's not great. But I like the universe they have for their games, and I've been playing their games since Max Payne came out in 2000. Well, I probably first played it in like 2004, I guess.
Solid.
I was waiting
Yeah,
for
I,
you to
I hadn't.
I was waiting for you to say old.
I was considering it. I haven't seen anything about that game. I just saw you playing it.
it
What's like the idea? What's it about?
it's like a co-op objective horde shooter kind of like Left 4 Dead. Maybe a little more Dark Tide, just in that there's like
Gotcha.
character classes and stuff like that. Um, but it's not great. It's fine, but it's the objectives aren't very fun. Like they're really boring, I guess. They're all kind of fetch questy, and
Oh,
uh,
gotcha.
I like that company a lot because they make like really good story heavy like single player games, and that's got nothing I like from that company in it, and the gameplay is kind of just whatever. So it didn't hit for me quite the way that I'm used to their games hitting.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Night Rain.
Night Rain.
Elden Ring,
Yeah.
Night Rain. I played a lot of that. Which I think I even said the last time we did this that I wasn't gonna play Night Rain.
Yeah. I remember. I heard that, and then I saw you playing it like a few days after release, and I was like, oh, I see.
My buddies bought it because they're big into Elden Ring, and I like a lot of the Souls games, but I don't care about Elden Ring that much. But they're like, well, we'll help you buy it if you play it with us because it's got a really fucked queue system, so two people can't really queue
Yeah.
that easily. And I was like, well, I mean, if you're gonna pay for it, sure, and it's actually really good. So
Yeah. I I haven't had the chance to play it yet. Um, Mostly because I don't have people who will buy it for me.
yeah,
Sad. Uh, but me and some friends actually seeing that Night Rain came out and knowing that all of us were broke, we decided to bootleg our own Night Rain.
seamless go up.
Seamless co-op with a randomizer.
Oh hell yeah.
And that's been interesting. Um, it's been fun, but man, it's Ryo Lucaria was hellish.
What did it do to you over there?
So the first thing that it does, obviously it randomizes bosses and items.
Sure.
Probably the most disruptive thing it does, in a good way, is that it randomizes all the enemies.
Yeah.
And that causes what we have affectionately named Scooby-Doo gangs.
You do.
Um, because it's like you get like a giant, and you get one of the guys with the trumpets, and then
Okay.
you also get like two dogs from Caelid, and then you also get, and it's just awful. Um, there was one of them we encountered that just, for no particular discernible reason, had two knight cavalries.
I watched I watched my buddy. You kind of know Harold. I know you haven't really met him, but he's
Yeah,
around our
yeah.
server. Um, I think it was either him or him and I's mutual friend was doing like fucking with the randomizer and the tutorial boss, the with Scion, I think is what it's called. Uh, in Elden Ring. got replaced with
Yeah.
like Margit.
Yeah.
So he's just
Well, I had one. I had a test run I was doing with a buddy to make sure that it would work with a seamless co-op, and I kid you not, the Soldier of Godric was replaced with the guy before Elden Beast.
okay.
So literally the second to last boss. Um, Thankfully it scales their health and damage down to whatever the boss is, but that was rough. And Raya Lucaria, man. So first off, there was one area we just straight up couldn't go to because it would hard crash your game. Still
Nice.
haven't figured out why. Secondly, um, I don't know how much you said you don't really care about Elden Ring.
Um, I don't have like a big attachment to it. I think it's good to be clear. Like I don't think it's bad.
Uh,
It's just I'm not a big fan of open worlds at that level. So
that's fair.
it's a lot for me. But I have played probably about half. I would wager.
Okay, so you know the Red Wolf of Radagon,
Yes.
the big,
Yep.
yeah, that was replaced with Melania.
We've got Sif at home.
Yeah, that was Melania. Um, so and then we'd finally got her down. We'd finished her first phase, and normally the different phases of bosses are different bosses. Like you'll have to fight them at different points. So we were like, okay, cool, we got this. The Red Wolf of Radagon's only a one phase fight. We're good.
Surprise.
Nope, it was both phases. That was awful.
Me and Harold doing the seamless co-op. We were fighting Radon.
Uh-huh.
And he tweaks out a little bit when he's got that many targets, I guess.
A little bit, yeah.
Um, so we were having a lot of trouble getting like the fight, to finish the fight because he just wasn't working the way he normally does. He usually will pay attention to the summons and you can kind of kite him for damage and shit. Um, so we were like, all right, well, we'll just have to get a little cheap with it, cheese him a little bit. And at one point, I don't know if it's still the case, but there's a thing where you could get him to do his big jump gravity attack, and then he would just land in the ocean and die.
I think they've since patched that out, but yeah,
Uh,
I
we
remember
could
that.
we couldn't get it to trigger anyways because he would jump like instead of jumping up and back and then landing, he would just jump and then land. It didn't work.
Ah,
So what we ended up doing is like throwing the fight, running, grabbing a bow and a bunch of crafting materials, and making like 900 scarlet rod arrows, jumping up that tree he can't jump up, getting him stuck underneath of it, and then using the ash of war that makes one arrow count as 10, and just like the kid with scarlet rod for like 10 minutes.
that's hysterical.
Until he's dead, and then his soul spawned onto the map because the map actually like in a gameplay sense it changes, so it loads up, and we just didn't get his souls or his
The game
runes.
said nah.
But
Uh,
it was very good.
yeah, and then when we went to go fight Rolana, or was it Renala? It's the mage lady.
With the
Um,
moons, Renala.
yeah. Well, there's also a boss in the DLC who has a very similar name.
DLC doesn't count.
Uh, yeah. The point is, we went to go fight her, and the first phase was Margit.
Nice.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Uh, and we finished first phase. None of us go down. We use like a grand total of between the four of us, like maybe 2 healing flasks. And then we go to the next phase, and it's second phase Consort Radon
Oh,
from the DLC.
nice. I haven't haven't
Yeah.
haven't played that. Probably not gonna play that to be honest. I think the series has historically bad DLC. Bloodborne not included. So
Well, the DLC is actually pretty fun. It's a difficulty spike. Don't get me wrong, but it's pretty fun. Um,
it's a good.
Only problem is Consort Radon is widely regarded as like the hardest boss in the game. So back to back, we had Melania and then Consort Radon.
Light work, no reaction.
So Raya Lucaria was kind of a nightmare boss rotation.
But Night Rain is pretty good. The changes they made to make it fit into that format are not as jarring as I thought they would be. Um, and it's actually gotten me to play things that I don't ever play when I play a Souls game because like I hate casting magic in that series, which is weird because I play mages in a lot of things.
Uh,
But not in that game, or not in most Souls games. But the because my typical like Souls build is brick on stick, right?
uh,
All strength, it doesn't matter. I fucking hate the brick on stick character in that game. He's slow as shit. I can't stand it. So
Yeah.
I picked up one of the casters and I just sit there and I throw little blue lightning bolts at people and stay out of the way. It's great.
Yeah, and I saw that they actually made the archer like usable.
Yeah, he's kind of cracked actually. One of my favorite things to do is take the sorcerer and then in my offhand put a bow and then just sit there and shoot dudes. Just
Yeah.
laying
I
them.
I've had to cheese a couple of bosses in our seamless co-op run by because they spawn in an arena they're not meant to,
Yeah,
obviously, so their tracking isn't meant to accommodate for like a rock. So I'll hide on top of a small rock and pepper them with the rot arrows.
yeah.
Yeah. Man, what have I been playing? I've been playing obviously a lot of Elden Ring, but I kind of already talked about that. I've been playing a good bit of Intravenous recently. It's a little indie game that I picked up uh maybe a few weeks back, and I didn't ever really play it. And then I decided, I was bored. I'll play it, and it's really fun. It's the best way I can describe it is it's like Hotline Miami if it was a stealth game. Um, it's a top-down, kind of pixelated shooter game
Hmm.
where you go through levels and try to try to get through without getting spotted because the combat is really brutal if you don't. Uh, and I've been having a lot of fun with it, mostly because the AI is so intelligent. Um, like if you shoot a guy, it'll leave a blood stain, and then the AI will follow that and try and track down where it goes. Or if there's a guy patrolling and you take him out and you don't you knock him out and then you drag him away, the AI will be like, "Hey, there's a weapon on the ground there, and there used to be a guy here. I'm gonna go find someone else so we can move as a group and try and find the guy." And it's very well done all around, and it's kind of been beating my ass a little bit, even on normal difficulty. Uh, but I picked it up and I picked the sequel up, so I'm hopeful that I'll be able to play both of them.
Nice. I remember when Hotline Miami came out and the play was just bait one dude to run at you and then hit him with a door and kill him and then someone else would hear that guy die and they'd run into the door and you do it again and then you did that for the next 30 seconds and the level was over.
Yeah, I haven't had that happen. The one time that I did have kind of a goofy glitch happen was I was trying to get through I was trying to hide in a bathroom because the enemies had raised the alarm and they knew I was somewhere. And this one guy, he tried to open the bathroom door, but I was stood in front of it, so I just pressed the close door button before it could fully open. And then it ended up being like a quick time event. I was just having to spam the spacebar to keep the door closed. Until finally he got sick of me and fired a shotgun through the door.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Um, oh, you know what? We talked about this last time. The new
Yeah.
Doom game. I have Game Pass, so I decided to play it.
Right, right.
I did not like it. I did not like it at all. I played
Yeah,
maybe
I've
an
I've
hour of it, and I was like, "This kind of sucks."
I've heard that it's one of the games where either you like it or you really hate it.
And I don't like
Um,
it, but it seems well made for the most part. I've heard there's some glitch issues, but the actual design doesn't seem bad. I just really don't like because each of these games has like their own game design behind it. They're not just the same game. Uh,
right, which I appreciate, but
it's good, but that also means if you change it and I don't like it, then I'm just not gonna like the game. And the Dark Ages is a lot about you taking advantage of that shield he has. And it's a lot more kind of holding your ground and or taking advantage of the shield to get ammo and stuff in a way that you kind of did with like the glory kills, but uh, it's just slower in a way I don't like. So I didn't have much
yeah,
fun with it. Also, all the glory kills are just like they're not like those cool canned animations anymore. They're just like you kick a dude and you get a bunch of ammo, and it's like that's not fun. I want to like rip a dude in
yeah.
half.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've heard. I've heard, so from what I've seen, I've watched a lot of videos on it because it looked interesting. Um, Something that is pretty universally agreed on is that the dragon sections are awful.
I didn't even get that far.
Um, yeah, it's like a rail shooter,
Uh,
basically. Um, I've also heard that on some of the higher difficulties, the combat gets really, really boring because it's just parry, shoot, parry, shoot, parry, shoot, parry.
yeah, no, that was kind of my experience at like normal. Like since it's built around the shield, right? And most of what you do is either stand your ground or parry. It's kind of like it's not as engaging as like Doom 2016, where while it wasn't super complicated, it was fast and frenetic at least. Like you're always
Uh,
moving, and Doom, which was a puzzle at every turn, and then this one's just like, yep, I hit the parry button, and then I shoot you, and then I do it again.
yep.
Like, damn, what do I play? Dark Souls over here?
Yeah, yeah, that's I've shame because it was such a cool concept,
Yeah,
but I think they executed the concept well, but they didn't really they didn't stay true to what a lot of people were drawn to Doom for.
uh, it's a well executed concept. I just turns out don't gel with the concept very well.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and it's something that probably could have been avoided if maybe there's more weight to the parrying, like I compared to Dark Souls a little bit, where like if you try and fail a parry in that game, you're just cooked. You're fucked.
right.
There's not that kind of weight because like I fuck up a parry, I get hit, I just parry someone else, get my health back. I don't know.
Yeah, it's okay. I respect them for trying something new.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just don't think it ended up working very well.
Well, in all likelihood, they'll just make another one and change it. It'll be fine, or it won't. I don't know.
Well, they're probably gonna have a DLC, so
Have to be a real fucking game changer for DLC. I'll tell you that. But I
yeah,
mean, 3 games in and you finally have a miss. Like, all right, that's fine.
yeah, it's a pretty respectable record.
Um, I was playing Batman Arkham Asylum a little bit,
Huh?
trying to get my head in the DC Comics headspace. Played a little bit of Deus Ex Mankind Divided because that's been in my backlog since it came out in 2019, I think. 2016, I don't know.
I've got most of the Deus Ex series. I just never got around to playing it. I'll do that at some point.
Hey, man. 3 of them are bangers, and then the second one exists.
Noted.
Go play the second one. It's funny, but oh. Ooh. First game is really, really good. So I highly recommend that. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. Oh, uh, things I've been playing in tabletop realm. I think this might be the one that'll get you going.
Yeah, yeah.
My one of my D&D groups, my one I play on Tuesday. We just finished playing Marvel Multiverse RPG, which was very
Uh-huh.
fun, and our group that we play with is gonna start that soon. But my Tuesday group has switched to the uh, Warhammer 40K Genesis system, whatever they call it. I don't know if that's what it's
Yeah.
called or
There's a couple of different ones. Is it
uh,
Wrath and Glory?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's fair.
I'd have to let me go pull up the Google Drive and see what the book says. Oh, where is my wife's DMs? That makes sense to me, but
Yeah.
that's not that's his character backstory. I don't need that.
Yeah, I've played some Wrath and Glory. I DM'd one short campaign and played another one. It's pretty fun. The characters are very accurate to how they are in the universe, that being that like a single Necron warrior could probably wipe most of a party easily.
I like the idea in my head that someone's gonna watch this with no context of who I am and be like, "Oh, this guy's married." That's funny.
That would be really funny, and I don't feel like I'm going to correct that.
No, that can just hang there. Dark Heresy.
Dark Heresy. Nice. That's a good one. I don't think I've ever actually played a Dark Heresy game, but it looks like a pretty solid system.
It's fun. Rolling in it sucks. I really don't like the way they do rolls. I don't like applying symbols to my numbers and trying to understand what the fuck that means. I have to have a chart open anytime I roll my dice. It got to a point where I gave up and downloaded, which is gonna mean something to some people who know me. I gave up and downloaded a digital dice roller specifically for the system because it,
Wow.
it fucking sucks.
For context, this guy hates digital dice.
I refuse. I would sooner turn on my webcam and show my rolls than I would use a digital dice roller, but I just can't keep up with checking a chart and then cross referencing it with another chart for 18 D10s, D6s, D8s. It's like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
Just leave me alone. So, mind you, like I play this game, on Tuesdays I get a full day of work, I come home. I I've been awake for 12 hours already. I sit up for another 5 playing this fucking game. I just can't do it.
Yeah, that's so fair. I like Wrath and Glory because it's all D6s.
God, that
Uh,
would be nice, wouldn't it?
I mean, it's a lot of D6s, but that's just kind of
I'm
wherever in
okay.
game.
I'm okay with a lot of one kind of die, but when you want me to have a lot of kinds of die, let me pull the roller up on
Yeah.
my phone here. Uh, so there's a positive and a negative D6. There's a
Okay.
positive and a negative D. It's an 8, yeah. And there's a positive and a negative 20.
Huh.
And a lot of my rolls are like, I'll pop 4 of the positive D8s, and then I'll pop like 1 or 2 of the positive D20s, and then Brandon will be like, or my DM will be like, take 2 or 3 boosts. So I'll put 3 positive D6s, and then he'll say, but there's 2 or 3 setbacks, so I'll put 2 or 3 black D6s in there. Then you'll say it's a difficulty 2, so I'll put 2 purple D20s or 2 negative D8s in there. And suddenly I'm rolling fucking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 dice.
Wow.
and
That's
and then there's 6 different symbols that all mean different things.
I see.
Like,
That's a lot.
it's fucked. I tried to do it physically for like 45 minutes, and then I was just like, I'm not doing this.
Wow. I mean, is the story worth it at least?
I mean, I'm having fun.
That's good.
We're running like homebrew stuff, so it's not like a
That's
module of
fair.
any sort.
Yeah.
But we're having a good time. With the groups I have, like the game itself, not having my favorite rolling is pretty negligible because especially now that I got this dice roller, I don't have to give a shit. But there is every time we roll, it'll be like, someone will say like, all right, so you're gonna need difficulty 2, and I'll be like, that's the D8s, right? The bad ones, and they're like, yeah, and it's like, all right, I feel like an idiot, which is crazy
Yeah.
because every game we've ever played, like any game you've ever played with me, I'm pretty on the ball with what's going on. But I play that game and I'm fucking lost. I don't know what the fuck's happening,
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
in
I
universe and in rule wise.
That's to be fair, in universe most people don't know what the hell's going on. Um yeah, I've been seeing some stuff trickling in about that 40K game y'all are playing,
Yeah,
and it's got me fiending a little bit, I'm not gonna lie.
it's so I've got my passive 40k knowledge, like enough to know what the conversation is roughly about and what's going on, but not enough to like
Uh,
when they hit me with lore, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means, you know.
right.
Uh, but it's navigated me well enough as playing a character who is intentionally unaware of the universe. It has gotten me to the point where I have fairly competently managed to negotiate our way into owning a system of planets.
Solid.
So
Pretty solid. And y'all are playing as rogue traders, right?
we are rogue traders,
Very nice.
or one of us is a rogue trader, and the rest of us are his little minions or whatever the fuck.
Right, the retinue, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, and at a certain point, negotiations is a funny word because in reality, it's a lot more like I negotiated with one planet, and then the rest of them, I just kind of threatened our way into what we want because I have this fun reputation now where I came up with and executed a plan where we snuck a bomb onto a ship and detonated their, I don't remember what they called it, weird warp drive thing, and sent them to space hell. So,
Damn, that's rough.
anytime someone threatens us, I'm like, yeah, but look what I did to the BDSM elves, and they're like, fuck.
Yeah, that's rough. Uh, man, sending Eldar into the warp. That's
Yeah,
brutal.
it was like, I found out after the fact when I brought it up that apparently me coming up with that plan was fucking insane, and I was a madman for suggesting the idea.
A little bit, yeah, just a little bit.
My plan was like, yeah, the rest of you go negotiate with their leader and make it sound like we're gonna sign like a surrender thing, and I'm gonna just walk into their little little generator deal. I forget what they called it. Put a bomb down and leave, and then we'll just leave peacefully and then blow it up, and it worked.
Hell yeah, that's uh, that's a strategy.
It apparently was.
Yeah. On my tabletop front, I finished a game of like 2 weeks ago, I think, that has been going for the last 3 years.
Damn.
Um, it was kind of hilarious because afterwards the DM said that it could have probably been cut short about a year and a half. Uh, except we kept getting sidetracked.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Uh, like unironically, we were supposed to get 3 artifacts, right?
Yep.
There was the wand, the staff, and the sword.
Uh
You
huh.
had to retrieve these so that the demigods could go and engage in the final battle.
Sure.
Um, and we got the wand and the staff within about half a year. We had some character stuff that took up the rest of the year, and then uh, as we were going to get the sword, uh, one of our pets got stolen.
Yep.
So we went on about a 4 month trip to go and get them. And then when we got them, one of our other pets got like taken to another dimension. And so we had to stop everything to go and get them. And then we found the sword, but then one of the villains stole it. So we had to go on a side quest to find the villain, but then we also had to go and find the sword where he'd hidden it because it got stolen from him, and it just kept rabbit trailing from there. Uh, Mostly because we were kind of incompetent and kept letting these things happen. Uh, but it was a good ending, I think. My character was a changeling, who it was a Gestalt campaign. I don't know if you know what that means.
No.
Gestalt is basically like you take two classes and level them simultaneously.
Okay.
Um, and I was playing a sorcerer bard whose sorry, no, a warlock bard
Yep.
whose whole shtick was that she was an infiltration specialist. So she was really, really good at pretending to be someone else, and also was just objectively an evil character because she was working for an extra dimensional salesman, basically. And I mean, she was helping the party, and like she wasn't sabotaging anything. It's just also she would occasionally rope NPCs into very, very bad contracts. Um, and she ended up with the uh, neutral good barbarian of the party, who also then turned into the god of combat after the last one died in combat. Uh, so it was a fun campaign and a good ending. But also the campaign went way longer than it was initially planned to.
Yeah. That's how it goes sometimes.
It'd be like that.
Either they go way too
Uh,
long, or they go way longer than they're intended to, or oops, you guys just cut this campaign short by 4 months, I guess.
yeah, I wonder what that's like. Yeah. There's some stuff with my Friday game, but that'll come up later
Oh, okay.
with the realism conversation.
Okay. Um, I'm still trying to get my hands on that goddamn Alien RPG, like the movie.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, finding a physical copy's been a pain in the ass. It's on Demiplane, but like, you know me, I want a book.
Right, right.
I want a book in my, I want it in my hands. So like,
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that was a thing. What's it about? Like, what's the
uh,
playstyle?
I would love to tell you, but I haven't been able to find out because I don't own the
Oh,
fucking book.
fair.
It's horror for sure. Probably closer to a by the books Call of Cthulhu game, I would imagine, just in terms of like you're meant to like they intend for you to die and you're weak, and a lot of it is like people are like you're. I've read that there's like two play styles. One where it's like designed specifically for a one shot, where like you're kind of supposed to get picked off one by one because it's an alien,
Uh,
and then one that's like a longer campaign where the xenomorph is less present and you deal with other threats that aren't just that, like different kinds of alien life and different things like that. Um, so it seemed
so
pretty
it's
neat.
a lot more. It's a lot more the first movie, not the second movie.
So there's a Colonial Marine expansion. So it's like one of the X packs is like, here now you can do the second movie. But yeah,
Gotcha. So it does have kind of the same progression as Call of Cthulhu then, where they have Pulp Cthulhu.
yeah. And I like the movies. Or I like some of them, anyways. So it had my attention immediately. And I would like something horror based that isn't Call of Cthulhu in my list of things I can run for people at some point in my life.
I bet that's a fair assessment, I think.
Uh,
Call of Cthulhu is great, but it's not the only horror
no,
uh,
I would love to see
system.
more. But finding it's been really fucking hard. Like I've been to game stores in about every city in my state.
Uh-huh.
I went to this neighboring state into some of their towns and couldn't find it. I can't find it on Amazon except through like sketchy secondhand sources that make me a little uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
So I just haven't got a physical copy yet.
Yeah, that's rough.
It is rough. I'm a little upset about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I've got a couple of game stores near me I could check out, but they probably don't have it.
Hey man,
We'll see.
they have it. I will pay. I will like Venmo you the cost if you grab the copy for me.
I'll keep an eye out.
Because I went to a store in the capital of my state and found the Colonial Marines expansion, but I was like, there's no point in me buying that right now because I can't
Right.
play with it. But
Huh.
that's been on my radar. Uh, and as soon as I get it, I'm making sound like I'm getting people together to run a run shot because I gotta, you know.
You just gotta. Well, I mean, yeah, if you get that figured out, I'm absolutely down for that.
Hell yeah.
All right.
All right,
Well, unless you had anything
that's about
else.
all I've been doing. I go to work and I come back and I play tabletop games and I go to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been having a lot of the same since I got a job, so
Yeah, it's rough, isn't it?
yeah.
Try having two.
I mean, money's nice, but
God, that must be nice. What's it like?
uh, I wouldn't know. I haven't gotten paid yet.
Oh shit. Yeah, it's fair. Um. All right. Well, I know the next thing and that we had on our mind here was just we're at the halfway point of the year, a little over by the time this comes out, but what's that's coming out for the rest of the year in terms of games or movies or tabletops or whatever are you looking forward to?
Right.
I'm gonna start with I'm going to include June in this
Sure.
because there's stuff coming out in June that hasn't come out yet.
Um, well, I think this one's coming out in June.
Or if it like
And this one is less big,
if it recently came out, that probably counts too because it's like close enough.
right? Uh, it's a lot less, because enjoyed the first game and a lot more because the first game was schizophrenic, and I want to see what this one's like. Death Stranding 2.
Oh fuck yeah! I hate.
It's
I did not like the first game.
no, I didn't either. I think it was schizophrenic at best. Me when one of the characters is named Die Hard Man.
Oh, that's just a Kojima thing. He's been doing that since you weren't even born.
I know, but like,
That's not even the shit that I didn't like. I just think like, and I, it's a lot like when we were talking about Doom, where it's like I like that he tried shit. Like you just threw stuff at the wall and whatever happened happened, but it didn't stick for me very well.
yeah. I'll be interested to see how bizarre the second game is. Uh, that's really the only reason I'm interested in that one.
I'm actually it's been off and on my mind to maybe try to replay the first one and finish it at least because I think even if I don't really like it, I think seeing it through might be a worthwhile experience.
Right. Um, Let me see. One that I am actually pretty looking forward to is a game called Mecha Break. Um, it's a game that I played the demo of it with some buddies, and the gameplay was really solid. The only thing that I'm a little bit worried about is there were hints and signs of potentially pretty predatory microtransactions. It's basically a mech hero shooter
Okay.
that takes place in like it feels very Armored Core as far as
Okay.
the gameplay and the sets are. There's really big mech arenas, um, and I had a lot of fun with it. They've done a really good job of making the mechs feel each one is like individually powerful in its own area. Uh, my favorite was one that doesn't have any ranged weapons and just has a really big axe.
Hell
Um, and normally that'd be pretty weak because all of the mechs are really fast and can just kind of get away from you. Except he has probably the coolest ability I've ever seen in a shooter game, where he creates an arena where like if you're within a certain radius of him, he will make a shield that blocks you into a small area for like 10 seconds and you have to fight him.
yeah. It's time to box.
Yeah, so you just lock them in a room with you and wail on them with an axe. It's hilarious. Uh, but I'm pretty tentatively excited for that one. I think if they do end up going with the very predatory microtransactions, it'll be a little bit uh, cringe and not worth it. But if they don't do that, it'll be a pretty solid game.
There's something in my head too. Um, damn
I can go down my list, and if it rings with yours, we can
it. Yeah, go ahead.
just do that. 'Cause I think I might have the one you're thinking of on here.
Sure.
This one isn't that, but Tales of the Shire looks interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I was reading about that last night.
Uh, it's like it looks like Stardew Valley, but like Lord of the Rings.
Dude, it's gonna be a funny little guy.
I just want to be a funny little guy. I want to be a hobbit. I want to run around.
Yeah.
Looks pretty fun.
Finally, I can be 5'4" in a video game, not just in real life.
Let's see. Gears of War Reloaded
Oh yeah, that looks good.
looks interesting. I actually have yet to play the Gears of War series. I've been meaning to. So that looks interesting. Definitely be picking that up once I have money.
I was there frame one. Have my original Xbox copy
Metal
somewhere
Gear
out here.
Solid Delta, the Snake Eater remake.
That is absolutely on my list.
That
Metal
looks really
Metal Gear
interesting.
Solid 3 is my favorite game in that series. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm interested. It looks pretty good. Uh, Kojima's uh, Kojima's a character, as discussed earlier. So
made a lot of games I really like, and also Death Stranding.
I have played exactly 20 minutes of Death Stranding, and then I got sidetracked by something else.
Uh,
Um,
if it means anything, I think the Metal Gear games are a lot more cohesive than Death Stranding.
wow, that's I know a good bit about the Metal Gear story, which is to say I don't. So
The story's crazy and kind of wild, but I think as a package, they're all fairly cohesive experiences.
Right.
Cohesive as in like they gel together as one unit, not necessarily like comprehensible, but like
Yeah, that's an important distinction.
they all fit, like they all fit neatly in what they're trying to be in a way that makes them
Right.
very digestible.
Yeah. And take this with an enormous grain of salt. I've never played most of the Metal Gear series, and I don't count Revengeance because that's not really a Metal Gear game.
I can't remember.
Um, it's a fun game. It's just not really in line with the rest of it.
But
Uh,
its place in the timeline's real important. It's the last game in that timeline.
that's fair. That's fair. Everything I've encountered points to the fact that the Metal Gear like story is schizophrenic at best.
Mm, maybe, but not really in like a comparable way to Death Stranding. It is all uh,
Yeah,
it
it's
it, uh,
more coherent.
it fits in a line a lot better. It fits in my head. It fits. Death Stranding's a combination of a lot of elements, and Metal Gear is pretty strictly fit in the niche that it has. So
Right, right.
its story being kind of fucking batshit is fine.
Yeah, yeah, I see
Also,
that.
it has the benefit of each of the story. It has the benefit of those stories all sharing very similar central themes, so the progression of them all makes sense,
Yeah,
except for
yeah.
five. But
Let me see what else is on my list here. Outer Worlds 2.
let's make our.
I liked the first game. I don't know how the second game's gonna be.
I like the first game well enough. I do find it very funny that they're charging $80 for their game satirizing capitalism.
It is very funny. Apparently, my fiance got an ad for the game not long ago, and she said that said something to the effect of like, celebrate the glories of capitalism. Pre-order today.
Yep, sounds about right. But I like Obsidian a lot, so I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt that it's good, because they've made almost exclusively things that I like, and also that game Grounded that I don't give a shit about.
That's also getting a sequel, apparently.
It is. I okay, I don't know what to say about that. I just don't care. It's not my cup of tea. It might be
Yeah,
perfectly fine. I don't play games like that really.
it was all right. I played a little bit of it with some buddies back when it first was in like early access. It's all right. It's nothing special. I
Uh,
haven't played it since, so maybe it's like god tier now. But
those open world survival crafting games really did peak in 2010 for me. Thank you, Minecraft. Very cool.
man, that's a whole other cup of tea. Ugh. Minecraft and it releasing a whopping one mob and maybe a biome every like year and a half.
No, but it's sad. I The last time I played Minecraft, not including us trying to get that server working, was probably like 10 years ago. I was probably in high school still.
I play it occasionally whenever some of my other buddies get the urge to play a modded game for exactly a week and a half and then just drop it.
Yeah, that's about right.
Another one that I am actually semi looking forwards to is Subnautica 2.
Fair.
Apparently it's gonna have native multiplayer
Oh,
and hopefully more in line with the original Subnautica, not Below Zero.
what's below zero?
That's the other sequel that they made that was kind of mid at best.
Oh, I didn't realize they had never
Uh,
gotten a sequel.
yeah, it's okay. I've played some of it. I played all the way through the first game, and the first game was fantastic. Uh, Below Zero was one of the games of all time. You can buy it. It's allowed.
It does exist. You could go give them
Yep.
your money if you really wanted to.
And I've heard that some people enjoyed it. I personally did not. Uh,
I have the problem with Subnautica that I have with a lot of games of that nature, where well, I'm a clown. I need direction specifically, and that game gives you some direction, but it's also kind of like, here you go, get out there, and I'm a baby, so I don't have the
yeah, that's fair.
which isn't to say I couldn't do it. It's more like my attention span's so fucked at this point in my life that if I don't have some direct objective, and it doesn't even have to be like, I don't know, it's a fine line, right? Because
Right.
Subnautica gives you an objective, but it's pretty freeform about it. But then I'll go play something like Morrowind, where I have to go follow street signs, and I'm all about it. you know. So
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
really know how to voice my thought process here, other than there's a certain kind of free form that my brain can't comprehend.
that's fair. Yeah. Um,
Excuse me.
yeah, I really liked Subnautica, the first game. It's one of my favorite games. The story, I went into it blind, and the gameplay was gameplay, nothing really special, but the story was so good. Uh, Also, I got a that's how you can get time capsules from other players when they'll finish the game.
Hmm.
I found one that was quite possibly the funniest thing I've ever seen, and it took me out for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It was they gave me, I think, a singular like one of the eye fish,
Okay.
like the basic food fish.
Sure.
They gave me one of those, and the picture was the rocket with two habdomes on either side of it, and the blurb was just cock and ball.
They give you a fish and a dick pic.
Yep.
That's crazy.
And I kind of lost it for a while because that was in the middle of me being utterly terrified by some of the leviathans that were I was gonna have to go through because I had that was when I was first going to the Aurora. I was like, man, there's a lot of Reaper leviathans here. That's kind of awful. And then I found that, and suddenly everything was funny again.
Uh, Filling in some gaps because there is some stuff that I probably very nichely my kind of thing.
Huh?
Um, let me see here. Ooh, computer. There is the Devil Summoner remake that's going to be cool. I think it already came out actually, but it's in my to get list. Uh,
What was that one about? I actually never heard of it.
it's a like a JRPG, kind of like an action RPG, JRPG. It's just it's how do I explain this? So you've heard of the Persona games?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a sub series of another series, and Devil Summoner is a sub series of that series, but not the same sub series as Persona.
Gotcha.
So there's like a parent series that has like 800 spin-offs, and Devil Summoner Rado is a spin-off of that main series. Uh,
Gotcha.
and it's about like a I don't know what exactly he is offhand. It's been a while, but he's got a. It's kind of like almost like a monster of the week between each sequel, and dude can got to go investigate supernatural misgivings.
Sounds
Uh,
pretty cool.
it's set in like the I think it's like the 30s or like not like one for one, but like a kind of like a how Full Metal Alchemist is kind of comparable to like Europe, but isn't, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And
That
then
sounds interesting.
it's cool. I played it a long time ago, and I just like every spin-off of that series known to man, so I'm gonna be obligated to play it at some point. Um,
Fair.
System Shock 2 gets its remaster later this month. Uh, gotta
Solid.
gotta play that. Will I get it when it comes out? Probably not. More in the morbidly curious point of view, Killing Floor 3's beta was so fucked that I'm just curious now what they're gonna do when the full game comes out in July.
Right.
Because I really like Killing Floor 1 and I really like Killing Floor 2, and Killing Floor 3's beta was apparently trash. So
Yeah, I own Killing Floor 2. I think I've played maybe 5 minutes of it.
I really like it. It's
Might have to give it a shot at some point.
if you get some people together, it's a very fun time. You could absolutely take me at gunpoint and get me to play that with you.
Noted. I will keep that in mind.
Just hear the chamber, the rack the slide. All right.
I would, but I've got noise suppression on, so
I wonder if you think it'll pick up my soundboard.
yeah, maybe we'll see.
um, I have a lot less I'm actually specifically looking forward to. Uh, there's a new Silent Hill game in September. I'm gonna play that for sure.
Oh, really? I actually didn't hear about that one.
Silent Hill F, I think is what it's called. It's set in like the 1960s in Japan, so I don't really know what it has to do with Silent Hill, but got the name on it, so I'm gonna play it.
I also heard that there was a new Resident Evil game coming out. I don't know. I
That's
think
next year,
it's a
yeah.
while away. Yeah.
It's February next year, which I am also very excited for. I am a huge fan of that franchise.
Yeah, Resident Evil Requiem.
Yep. Um, in one of those instances of it's a thing I'm a huge fan of, but it never comes up in the conversations we have because I don't really talk to you about stuff besides tabletop games, besides the once a month we gather to do this,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the occasion we play a video
I
game.
occasionally, yeah. I've heard some people being displeased at the possibility that Leon might be dead canonically.
It'll happen eventually. I'm also not convinced it's true.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think they would. They might kill him, but they're not gonna do it off screen. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It could be interesting if like he was the final boss. That would be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be. I That'd be a little bit of weird bisexual panic for me. I think, just in terms of like, oh no, that's why I am the way I am. You can't kill him.
No, that's my Pookie.
Yeah, exactly. Like that 40% of me
Yeah.
that's kind of gay can't handle this.
It reminds me of the Resident Evil Village when everybody was so heartbroken that they had to kill Lady Dimitrescu.
The 60% of me that's not gay is so heartbroken.
Yeah.
And I really can't catch a break, either way.
Yeah. Uh,
In the opposite of excited, Borderlands 4 comes out in September, and I'm gonna die. That franchise
I
needs to
saw
be
that.
buried.
Yeah, I saw that. I Part of me really wants that to be good because I feel like it could be. But also I kind of hate the Borderlands humor.
I despise the way Borderlands is written. I cannot stand it. I think their writing ruins otherwise really good games. More in terms of the second one and onwards, because I think the first one's writing is probably about as balanced as it could have gotten with that format. But they just keep
Yeah.
ramping it to extremes, and at a certain point, you lose any and all like stakes to your story whatsoever because you just take everything as a joke, and I can't stand it.
Yeah, I think it suffers from the second game onward. It suffers from the fact that it feels like like they were trying to recreate the first like the Deadpool movie vibe by
Yeah,
just making everything kind of a joke and like having random cut-ins. Like it just does
which
it
is
doesn't
crazy
work
because
well.
even the Deadpool movie realized there's got to be moments. I mean, that the movie's mostly like it's all a comedy, but even Deadpool has a fucking motivation. Like,
Yeah,
there-
and it's got serious moments too.
there's shit going on in these movies that are taken seriously, even if it's still jokes being made. Like, at least Deadpool has some fucking care in the world. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
If you just gonna spout one-liners trying to get your next like meme to catch on, I'm just gonna keep wanting to die.
yeah,
And it's so aggressive that it hampers the whole experience. Even though I think the gameplay has been pretty uniformly fine in this series, but I just can't stand listening to it. And
yeah.
they make
No,
sure the
that's
voice
so
acting
fair.
is as aggressive as possible about it too. So every time, ugh. Also Randy Pitchford can go fuck himself, but that's neither here nor there.
I I've got no beef. I'm unfamiliar.
I got I got beef. Um, Ghost of Yotai will come out in October.
Yeah,
I really like
yeah,
Ghost of Tsushima. I need to finish it, but it's when I played it, it's really really good. And the guys Sucker Punch make really good games. So
yeah. I forgot that was coming out this year. I thought that was next year. Yeah, I'll probably be picking that up. I loved Ghost of Tsushima,
that
so
game was really good. It's weird because the first time I played it, I didn't gel with it, but I went back and played it again, and I think part of my problem was my eye. I don't know. My eyes are. I have trouble seeing a lot of like thin. I don't know how to describe it. Real subtle motion.
uh
And the way that game navigates you is with like gusts of wind. My eyes,
right.
I couldn't see
Yeah,
it. I had to go to the fucking accessibility settings and turn on like their enhanced wind effects so I could fucking navigate because I just
Yeah,
couldn't see shit.
I had a I don't know. I was having fun with it. Don't get me wrong. It's a fantastic game. Love the story. Gameplay's awesome. I had beef with it mechanically. And I don't mean like the game mechanics. I mean like, damn, this thing made me have a Sony account and it made me like connect to all this weird service to even play the game. It's like, man, I own the game. It's on my computer. Let me play it, please.
Yeah, well, they learned their lesson with Helldivers on that one, I think. So
Hopefully, yeah.
I think that won't be a problem
Speaking
again.
of, actually, did you hear that the regional lock got lifted?
Mm-hmm. Thank
Uh,
God for
I
that.
think from what I've heard, it's because Stellar Blade did so well. Because Stellar Blade didn't have a region lock when it first launched on PC, and Sony was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that works pretty well. Hey, Helldivers, how do you want to get the thing you probably should have had in the first place?"
Damn, the Gooners did something good for us.
And it's bound to happen eventually. There's so many of them.
They came through in the end. So I am looking forward to that a lot. Um, I'm a fool, so the Pokemon game that comes out in October, I'm probably gonna play.
Oh, God bless. That's uh,
Listen, man, 27 years, I can't stop now. Uh,
yeah.
I was an infant holding that fucking Game Boy.
I didn't exist.
Uh, yeah, so
Obligatory old joke.
so true. Thank you. Would you like your juice box now? Uh,
uh,
Ninja Gaiden 4 is gonna come out in October.
I'm actually okay. I keep hearing about Ninja Gaiden. I'm completely unfamiliar with the series
Like entirely or just the new ones?
entirely. I
Uh,
straight up haven't heard about it until you guys started talking about it.
so it was originally like an NES game. The series started in like the NES era. I don't remember if it was just the NES or not. And then that series, eventually died out when games started changing. And then
Uh,
around the time of the original Xbox, it got rebooted um, into like a hack and slash because it was originally like a platformer kind of side scroller deal. And it got rebooted into like a third person like hack and slash. Still really difficult, but a different kind of game. And those are really good in my opinion. And the main character of that also ties into the Dead or Alive games. Yeah, the like weird horny fighting game volleyball series.
huh.
Um, and after the third one, the series kind of disappeared for a while, and then they started to re-release them, and the fourth one's coming out. So they're just really good action games, basically. They're just really hard
Right.
about like ninjas and samurais and shit like that. Obviously, given the name.
Yeah, I've kind of gathered.
So I like them. They're hard as hell, but I like them. Um, definitely. They're on Steam, so if they go on sale and you're looking for something single player, I'd say maybe check them out if they're cheap enough.
I'll definitely put that on the list.
Uh,
Yeah, I heard about it in passing from like a few different people, and then yeah, I never really did the research.
very very fun historic series. I enjoy. Um,
Uh,
not coming out this year, but I think I'm obligated to say I'm going to play Grand Theft Auto 6 when it comes out next year.
if it comes out next year.
If it comes out next year, look, they can only push it back so many times before I give up, right?
Yeah, yeah. I will probably play it eventually if it doesn't cost $100 something.
If it costs $100 something, they're fucked. I'm not paying that for anything. I don't care what it
Yeah.
is. But if it's like somewhere in the range of normal priced for a version of it, I'm kind of obligated to check it out. I've seen that series reinvent the landscape 3 times now. It's old.
Yeah, I've only played GTA 5 because I've never really been interested in the GTA series, and it was okay. The story was decent. Never touched the online with like a 10-meter stick.
Hey man,
Uh,
five's the worst one.
Impressive. I might have to play the other ones then because I really
Uh,
like the story of it.
I don't. Well, five's got probably five storytelling is probably what you'd be more used to because the older ones weren't told the same way. I mean, That was the early 2000s. Stories just weren't told that way in video games. So I don't know if
Right.
I don't know if they'd hit for you like they did for me. The first three are a lot more about kind of their atmosphere and the gameplay.
Uh-huh.
Especially the three in Vice City. Uh, but they were landmarks, and I was a child, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think four is genuinely good though. I like four a lot.
I've heard good things. I'll probably play them eventually.
Four has probably got my favorite story in the series.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for I can look past kind of graphics in exchange for really good story. So,
All those games looked really good for the time they came out. That's all I'm saying. Speaking of things that may or may not come out, God, if Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 ever comes out, I'm gonna play it. I'm probably not gonna too fucking long, and they've been rotating this thing through developers for the last almost 2 decades. But god damn it, I'm gonna play it.
yeah, I saw that on the list of things coming out, and I am very tempted. It looks, I mean, I like Vampire the Masquerade as a universe, so
The original Bloodlines is one of my favorite RPGs. I like that game a lot. It Sure, I have to play a very specific version with a very specific patch installed to enjoy it, but god damn it, it's good.
um,
Short
right.
short version's
I
$5.
talked about Vampire the Masquerade. There was that brought something to mind, and then I forgot it, and then I remembered it.
Uh huh.
I really want to see a Werewolf the Reckoning. Like, I'd make it like a Doom game. I think that would be fantastic. Where you play as a what are they called in the universe? And it's a werewolf. Just play as a werewolf and just like go ham.
I
Play basically a Doom game.
counter They're like on the opposite spectrum. I would love like a Hunter the Reckoning game where you're just some dude and you're getting your ass chased by like a big fuck off werewolf or something.
Uh-huh.
It's like Alien Isolation, but a werewolf.
That would be pretty fire. But hear me out, right?
Yeah,
Imagine that, but inverse, where you're the one hunting down like someone through a big facility. I think that could be pretty fun.
that would be cool. But I've got a lot of power fantasies I've already played. I need more games that make me want to cry and go hide in the corner and maybe shit my pants
That's
a
fair.
little.
I I still remember a friend like I had never played the game. I just got in my VR. And a buddy of mine said, "Hey, if you play Alien Isolation in VR, I'll buy the game for you, and if you beat it, I'll give you $50."
Did you beat it?
So I was like, "Fuck it, it can't be that bad." Horror games and horror movies in general just kind of don't scare me. So what the hell, right? Uh, Anyway, that was probably the worst thing I've ever done. I did it. I beat the game, but god damn it if I wasn't a little bit traumatized after
Oh
that.
man, it's scary, and you got to play that last third of that game in VR, and the last third of that game sucks.
Yeah,
The last third of that game is ass.
yeah, that was an experience, but I got my $50, so
That game should have ended at like the 8 hour mark, and it goes on for like 6 hours. There's a
yeah,
moment in that game where you launch the xenomorph out into space, and you're like, mission accomplished, and the game keeps going, and you're like, what the fuck? Let me out!
release me.
Free me! Like, this game does not need to keep going. But yeah, I don't know what it says about me that I'm actually having such a hard time finding things I'm excited about.
I mean, to be fair, most of the really big game releases were the first half of this year.
I figured there'd be something coming out, like something big coming out at least. There's usually something that I look forward to in the back half of a year, but there's a couple of things, but nothing that I'm like. Yotai is probably my number one. I really want to play that. So
I think honestly, of the ones that of the ones that are going to be coming out, Subnautica 2, I'm not going to pick it up immediately. I think the only one that I might like buy on release is Tales of the Shire, honestly.
that'll be pretty neat. Yeah,
Because I'm a sucker for cozy farming games.
same.
Uh, and if I can do that in probably my favorite fantasy universe, then hell yeah, right?
Um, Resident Evil probably my most anticipated for next year by default, but that's next year. touch base on that in like December.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
I'm actually not sure what's. I mean, obviously GTA 6 is coming out next year.
I don't know what's next year. I'm actually just kind of curious now. 2026 releases video games. I don't pay attention.
GTA 6. Uh, Star Wars Zero Company. I'm unsure on that one because the thing with Star Wars games is they're either like really really good or kind of really bad.
Most of them I think are really good. There's not that many Star Wars games I can think of that are like outlandishly bad.
Outlaws is up there. It's not the worst, but it's
I
kind of
What I played, it was just a bog standard Ubisoft game, which is not outlandishly bad to me. It's just the perfectly normal level of this mid.
yeah.
Outlandishly bad is
Uh,
like I don't know, it's a special spot. And I think Star Wars hit rate in video games is pretty high.
yeah, yeah. They've got some pretty good ones.
There's a new
Uh,
Onimusha game next year. Oh hell yeah!
Supposedly Elder Scrolls 6 releases in 2026, but I don't believe
Yeah,
them.
I'm gonna win the fucking lottery next year too.
Yeah, I really don't believe them
I'm not.
on that.
That is one of those things. I'm not entirely convinced that game's going to come out in the form that they've been developing it so far.
Yeah. Enter the Gungeon 2 is apparently releasing next year.
That's cool. I had a really hard time playing Gungeon One because my eyes can't see movement like that, like we discussed.
Yeah,
All the
yeah.
sprites in that game are so fucking small, my eyes can't adjust. I had that problem with Hades as well. Uh,
Something something Hades nuts.
God,
Sorry, I have to every time.
you really
Um,
don't. You just choose not to.
it's a choice.
Okay. But yeah, the new Onimusha game is gonna be cool. I like Onimusha. I do think I'm gonna look forward to that Star Wars game. If that 007 game actually comes out next year, that'll probably be cool.
Yeah, yeah. First Light.
First Light, yeah, that's what it's called.
Yeah, yeah.
They announced it like earlier this month.
The Long Dark is getting a sequel. That'll be pretty cool. I know you're not one for like
Uh,
survival games, but
that one was I didn't like playing it, but that one was interesting just because it really went in on a story, and I think that's cool.
yeah, it's getting a sequel and it looks really good. I'll probably pick it up.
There's I believe, the sequel to Bloodstained is coming out next year. That'll be cool.
Yeah, Scarlet Engagement.
And then FromSoft's really gonna make me buy a Nintendo Switch 2 to play Bloodborne. So,
Um, I can't decide. I don't think I'm gonna get a Switch 2. I just honestly, I hope it's worth it. FromSoft has a very, very solid record.
I mean, I'm not gonna buy it just for that, but I know more stuff's gonna come out for the Switch 2 than I want. So eventually, I'm gonna pick one up. Uh,
Right.
there's gonna be something Zelda on there I want, whether it's a re-release or a sequel. I didn't play Tears of the Kingdom, so I don't give a shit. But like, something will come out in that series. I will probably want to play the next Mario thing platformer that comes out. Um, if another Metroid game comes out, they've got my ass. You know.
I think there is a Metroid game coming out actually. I don't know if it's specifically on Switch, but I know there is one coming out.
If Metroid Prime 4 ever does actually come out, they got me. Nintendo
Supposedly it's releasing this year.
and then Nintendo would have to go to some pretty good lengths to completely alienate me. That being said, I did not buy a Switch 2 on release, and I don't intend to pick one up even this year because I don't want to play Mario Kart. I don't really like Mario Kart that much,
Fair.
and there's
One
nothing else on that console that I know of. Switch 2 games that I care about.
one that I am semi interested in is Frostrail. I'm a huge Metro fan,
Yeah.
and Frostrail looks basically like a multiplayer Metro game where you make your own train. Actually, is it multiplayer? Hang on. I don't think it is multiplayer, but it looks like a Metro game where you make your own train, and that looks really cool.
Um, yeah, I mean, there's nothing that's strictly just on the Switch 2 that I give a shit about yet. So, but I know in a couple of years there'll probably be enough things built up that I finally want to break down and buy it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully, that by that point in my life, I'll be financially secure.
Hopefully.
Don't put fucking
Uh,
Hollow Knight Silk Song on this to release list. That game's not coming out either.
no, I refuse to believe that game is ever going to release. I'm sorry.
Uh, it'll be out, and I won't believe you.
It'll be out, and still going to be convinced it's actually just a virus.
Put ransomware on my computer, Team Cherry. What the fuck? Yeah, that's
Uh,
probably the long and short of what I'm looking forward to.
yeah. I think, yeah, like I said, the only one I'm probably going to buy on release before hearing how it is Tales of the Shire, because I'm a sucker for anything Lord of the Rings, and I'm also a sucker for farming sims,
Hey
so that's
man,
just kind of right up my alley.
you got to be careful because it was just last year. that same logic would have got you fucked over.
Oh, what, by the
The
dwarf
fucking
game?
the Lord of the Rings part. That fucking Gollum game.
Oh, I never had faith in that one.
I'm just saying, you gotta be careful just saying Lord of the Rings because you never know.
Yeah. Man, that Mines of Moria dwarf game sure exists. It's kind of just
I think I
not
own it because
fun.
it was free.
Yeah, it was free for a reason.
Yeah, well, that's how that goes usually.
Yeah, that's
Well,
about all the stuff that I'm excited
I'll
about.
let you introduce this last topic because I don't even know
Sure.
how.
So yeah, the kind of aside from what we've been talking about, the main topic of this one was the idea of like realism in both games and tabletop. We'll probably start with games. Um, and I'll be transparent. I'm a huge fan of realism in games. I think uh, I'm the kind of guy who I play Arma, Squad, mod my games into Unreal or to into painfully real states like Skyrim and Fallout and those kind of games. I love making them feel like Metro or Stalker or stuff like that. I like very brutal, very realistic gameplay. Um, I will acknowledge it doesn't have a place everywhere. There's some games where you do just want to have some fun, but for me, I am a sucker for games that force you to be smart uh, and will punch you in the nuts if you don't. Um, but yeah, I love realism in games. I think it's for me, it makes my drive to it makes it feel much more immersive and makes me much more attached to the game as a whole. Um, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. I love realism in video games.
Yeah, I don't care either way. It's like I think there's games where it comes into to a benefit. Metro, Arma, Stalker. It's weird saying Stalker in the same sentence as realism because mutant pigs, but you get the point. Um,
Well, yeah, yeah,
but I think that a lot of games sacrifice too much in the pursuit of that and end up just being worse off because of it.
that's
Uh,
fair.
also, I there's a trend of like um, or there was, it's not really a thing anymore, but there's a trend of like, oh, any fantastical or not inherently logical thing in a game or movie, story wise or just, storytelling wise, being written off as not realistic and thus bad, as if it needs to follow that kind of internal logic. And I'm still bitter about it to this day.
Yeah, so one of my favorite, well, probably my favorite survival game of all time, Vintage Story. I love that game. It is, I think, for me, the perfect balance of gamey and realistic. Because like on the one hand, you have a health bar, you don't have locational damage like RL Craft. You've got like you can respawn with beds, and you've got like it's got gaming mechanics to make it so that it's not just awful to play. But at the same time, if you want food, you either have to go hunt or you have to like grow and culture a field. You have to make sure to pick all the weeds. You have to make sure to keep animals off of it. It's like this whole like 90-step process, and it takes like I think so to make soy sauce, which you can do. It takes close to an in-game year, which is around about like 30 hours. So it's very, very brutal and punishing when it wants to be, but also it recognizes that, you as the player don't want to have to individually bandage each and every cut you get, like Zomboid. Um, and I think it does a really good job of balancing that, because I have played some games, like, and granted, this is with mods, but Zomboid, Project Zomboid, some of the mods you put on that, and I played on a server for a while that had these. It's just not fun. Like, damn, man, I'm living this I'm living real life already. I don't want to have to live real life plus zombies.
Yeah, uh, that's the problem I run into. It's like I would a lot of the time I'd rather take the I would rather suspend my disbelief on things than have to live the way I already live. Like I don't want to be miserable in a video game too. I already hate my life. You don't gotta do this to me.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I think it's good if it's not to the detriment of fun.
I think
Um,
the problem that comes up a lot is that a lot of games try to have their cake and you want to go for a style like that, you have to kind of commit to that. Commit
yeah,
to
yeah,
making that as part of the design and working around it so it's still fun and you kind of inherently accept that you're probably just going for a very niche audience in that case. Dedicated to be fair, but like that level
yeah,
of attention realism appeal to a certain group of people and don't have the same mass appeal that other things do. I also play more single player stuff than anything, so those kind of games are just inherently less appealing when you're by yourself to me.
yeah, yeah, very much so. Vintage Story is the kind of game that is, again, probably my favorite survival game ever. If there's other people, if you're by yourself, damn, that shit boring. Um, I sure do love sitting in a house for like 8 hours, real life, waiting for winter to end. Um, but yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. There's a lot of games that try to do realism and appeal to a wider audience, and you just can't have both. Realism is inherently not going to be interesting to some people, and if you try to attract those people, you're going to alienate the people who you would actually attract.
We are also coming off of probably like 15 years worth of video games striving for realism visually, especially, and I'm just kind of bored. It's like
Yeah,
I'm tired of everything trying to look this way and play this way and feel this way. It's like I miss things being kind of wacky and fantastic sometimes. Though,
yeah, I miss stylized video games.
God, stylize my video games, please.
Another reason that I love Vintage Story is because it looks a little bit Minecrafty. It looks very Minecrafty. It's a block game, survival game. Um, but man, the art style is really pretty, and it's like really, really. It does a really good job of making everything like you could make your house either a stone cube or with like fairly minimal difficulty, you can make it feel super cozy.
It's part of the reason why, or I should say, I find that when they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, all that really ends up happening is an otherwise potentially good game gets bogged down by this like pseudo realistic shit that doesn't matter for the context of the kind of game I'm trying to play and just
Right.
drags. And that same logic is why I ignore food mechanics whenever I run like 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder because I just it's just gonna drag down what I'm trying to do. Nobody in
Yeah.
a party in the game I'm running wants to give a shit about food as a mechanic, at least.
Yup.
Like
Yeah.
I've not played in one party who actively wants to track food and that being a game with any sense of actual roleplay to it whatsoever.
Yeah, that actually that does transition pretty well into the other half of this, which is realism in tabletop games. Uh I mentioned earlier that my Friday game was having some stuff with that. I, as the DM of that, made the made that exact mistake where I was putting too much emphasis on the very gritty realism side of things. Where it's like, they have to plan out their travel routes and they have to have food and all that, because that's kind of fun to me. It's not fun to everybody, namely my party that I was running for. Uh, so I kind of sat down and rewrote all that, but I think a lot of so speaking for me again, I'm a sucker for realism, but it is more often than not in tabletop to the detriment of fun.
It, it
The reason most people play tabletop is either for combat, which is inherently not very realistic, or for
like role.
roleplay. Yeah,
Uh, yeah, and I think it the bonus of it already like it's already something that risks dragging things out, and because you have to use your imagination for a lot of this shit, you're the most boring things known to mankind.
yeah,
Like, let's
um,
imagine a map or imagine a long inventory of food, and then writing down like go to the next level and make an actual list, and like yeah, we know someone who just about anything, but I think if it's a spreadsheet of how many oranges we have, that would even lose them. Like, there's just
yeah,
I don't know. It's hard to do something like that without a very specific group of people.
yeah, and it's the kind of thing where I feel like, honestly, it's a hard line to find because on the one hand, Oregon Trail, that's a fun ass game. On the other hand, uh, if I'm doing that in a role playing game, I feel like I might as well just go play a Paradox game.
Yeah,
At least then I've got fun graphics to look at.
if you want an experience like that, there's a lot of actual board experience a lot better than to try to apply that to pen and paper or like tabletop. I think.
Yeah, yeah. And
Uh,
I mean,
which
it can be fun if you do it well with the right group. Again, it's all about the group, but I know most people aren't going to be super down with that.
some groups that sounds like it'd be actively miserable. Actually, uh,
Yeah.
like our fucking weekend group would never last in a game like that.
No, I love those guys. They cannot plan worth a damn. If they had to plan out logistics and supply routes, we would be done.
It would be cooked. You guys are
Uh,
to plan out how to finish the game at a 36-day in-game count, and that's the only time limit I've been the entire fucking game.
yeah, and oopsie.
And then they proceeded to waste another 12 in-game hours discussing how they're going to not waste more time, and it's like, all right, pop off.
Yep, you gotta love it.
Which was
Uh, yeah, I think that a lot of people who like enjoy that kind of gritty realism in their games, there's just better systems. Like 5e is not the end all be all.
you should stay
It's
far the fuck away from 5e at that point.
yeah, I mean I like it's modular. It's easy to teach. I like it for like first time D&D players, but man, I sure do not enjoy people who try to sh- finagle it into every little thing. Uh Like I knew a guy who made a horrifically bloated conversion of 5e to turn it into Fallout, and that was probably one of the worst systems I've ever played. It's done well sometimes, like the Destiny conversion is done pretty well.
Mass
That
Effect
at
1
that
works
point,
out pretty
it's
well.
yeah, but like the Mass Effect one, that's pretty in line with that's very closely in line with the original 5e. But the Destiny conversion, it's the only real similarity is that you roll dice and it's based in a D20 system.
But I
And I mean, it has most of the same stats, I guess, but like,
I pretty
man,
open this like fifth edition as is, so it doesn't even really matter to me.
yeah, yeah, that's fair.
uh, but as a tend to stride pretty far away from anything realistic, anyways. Uh, I don't make anybody track food. I'd still very few time limits at any point. Uh,
Yeah,
between two campaigns I've run with you guys in that group, I think I've had one strict time limit, and it just happened.
yeah, and that was mostly because of
That's
me,
that's player that's
actually.
action, thank you, buddy. And to be fair, it's only a strict time limit in the sense of they want the full party, they're gonna have to do it this way because there's no sense in. I mean, your character dies. We're in the last like 4 or 5 sessions of this campaign, probably.
Yep.
I just don't see the. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could just sit there in the corner for the last session if you die. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll just chill in the corner. Yeah.
You can roleplay
Right,
as
and
your corpse.
yeah, I'll role play a vengeful ghost maybe. We'll see. Um yeah, no, I think yeah, like I said, at the Friday game that I run, I put way too much emphasis on that and that ended up bloating the first part of the campaign, like the first half of the campaign to the point that a lot of the players got bored of playing their characters because it just ran on so long with like very little actually happening. Uh and I have rewritten a lot of it so that it's like, the stuff happens a lot faster because I need to respect my players' time. Uh, but yeah, I think realism in a tabletop game is something that has a place, and that place is not most campaigns.
It's a lot harder to sell than it is in a video game. That's for fucking sure.
Yeah,
The closest I ever really get on a day-to-day basis with games is like I track travel time, but that's also partially just so I can keep a track of like what the date is in any given game than it is any actual practical purpose. Because I know some of you motherfuckers are gonna ask me that shit.
I asked you that a lot at the start of the campaign.
You sure goddamn did. Well, there's a whole fucking calendar for that setting. Go nuts.
Yeah, I had a thought and then I lost it. Whatever. Come back to me later. Um, yeah, I think one of the reasons that it works so much better in video games is that it kind of inherently holds your hand.
Yeah.
And when it comes to tabletop, it's like, man, this is like I'm actually planning logistical stuff. That kind of sucks. Why do people do this?
Turns out doing something some people do as a career for fun on your Friday nights is just not that fun.
Yeah, like, man, I sure do love playing Paradox games, but damn, doing this outside of a set system that's kind of inherently fantastical is not fun. I don't
Um,
want to have to plan out a supply route to meet up with my caravan while I'm traveling. This sucks.
yeah, I think just the interactive, that's the right word, but the visual nature of a video game makes that go a lot easier too, because that information can be displayed in a way where your brain can just look at it and be like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Like
Yeah,
this is the A to Z on that one instead of having to map that out entirely on your own.
yeah. And I'm sorry if I'm ever playing a tabletop game with someone and they pull out Excel spreadsheets, I'm leaving.
You realize M has a fucking spreadsheet for like every game we play, right?
Does she?
Yeah, we made a fucking spreadsheet for our Mass Effect game, which you weren't there for, but we made a crew manifest and kept track of all the inventory on our ship and all the crew members we had.
I mean, that's fair. That's better. I mean, that's a tolerable use of it. I was more referring to like, are you gonna make me track like costs and like all this shit?
No, no, she just likes making spreadsheets, so she just makes fucking spreadsheets for shit.
That's fair.
I've never once enforced a spreadsheet in anything I've run, but boy, did she. I think she had a spreadsheet for Halo too.
Pop off.
I don't remember what it was for, but I think she had one.
Here, hang on. Let me see if we can get a response.
Should add her. She's bored enough at work. She might respond.
I mean, to be fair, she's usually pretty bored at her work.
True. I'd be bored if I had her job too.
Yeah. Uh, we'll see if we get a response from that.
Oh, we'll loop back around to
Um,
this one.
yeah, yeah.
In the realism thing, I don't even really track ammo counts. Like in Halo, I didn't give a shit. All I made you track is when you need to reload, but I didn't actually really give that much of a shit about how much ammo you had, except for the one mission where I revoked your ammo counts, as I recall.
yeah, yeah. I think the only ammo that I ever really track with any kind of detail is like special ammo.
I did make you track your rockets,
Yeah, I mean to be fair, that's because I kind of had a lot of them.
but as
Uh,
I
very
recall, I never made
varied.
you pay for ammo, and I gave you the 4 full magazines you're supposed to have for each weapon, and then just refilled them automatically between missions. So I didn't ever really
Yeah.
track that hard.
I think the only in the games I've run, the only ammo I've ever tracked was I make them keep track of their magazines if it has those. And if it has just like regular ammo, I do make them track like, man, you got this cool magical ammo. Uh, that like
I do,
does an extra 12 of damage. I need you
yeah.
to track that.
Special ammunition, I do always track because it's special, but uh, just your regular bullets, or like people in like fantasy games who make me actively go pick up my arrows, like fucking leave me alone.
Honestly,
Like just stop. I don't. Do you care? I mean, what's gonna happen if you decide that I have to track these and I run out of arrows? I'm gonna get bored. You're gonna get frustrated because I'm not able to interact with anything, and then it's gonna go badly for everybody. Why do I gotta track my fucking arrows?
yeah, yeah, that's
And sure, you could say it's my punishment for not preparing better, but fuck you. I'm still bored. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go play fucking solitaire on my phone.
or or it's like, damn, I didn't prepare well enough. Sure, my spells don't damage these enemies. I'm gonna go play Spider-Man.
You just hear the sounds of a video game from like, hey, what's this fucking guy doing? It's like, oh yeah,
Yeah, like
I'm having fun.
yeah, like there was this one time in the Thursday game, the one that ended just recently that I think I mentioned earlier. Uh, I am a spellcaster. I am a very flimsy individual. The boss we were fighting has magic immunity. So I kind of just sat in the back of the room and threw bardic inspiration at people while I think I was playing Minecraft on my other screen.
I had, I remember having a moment like that in that Elder Scrolls one shot because the zombies we encountered were immune
That's
to poison or whatever,
that's exactly what I was referencing. Yeah.
and all my spells did poison, so my ass just went and found a corner and just waited for someone to say I need health, and then I'd pop my one healing spell, and then I'd go back to playing fucking Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even
I
hide that.
remember
I
that.
said, "Oh, I can't do anything this fight, huh? I'm gonna go play Spider-Man. Let me know when it's over." And he was like, "Okay."
Yeah, I remember that very clearly because you were in that corner and I said, "Hey, I need healing." I went over to you and I got healing and I went back to combat.
Yeah, literally, I just said, "All right, come here. There you go. All right, good luck."
Yeah.
No, because all my
Oh,
turns turned into I ready healing word or whatever the fuck I had, and then I just sat there.
yep.
Which I should have known better than to make all my spells have one element. But damn, how was I gonna know they were all gonna be zombies that we fight in the one combat encounter we have?
I mean, we had two combat encounters where they were both zombies.
Oh, excuse me, inside and outside, right?
Well, there was one inside the lighthouse and there was one under the lighthouse.
Right, right, right. I forgot about Under the Lighthouse.
Yeah, you know the one where there were zombie sharks.
Yeah,
Crazy idea, by the way.
diabolical.
Mostly because saltwater would like get rid of it
So
quickly, but whatever.
I'm gonna just be a bitch and make all my elements like force damage or something. Be immune to this, bitch.
That that would be hilarious. I actually just yesterday, so my Friday campaign, it has kind of become a running joke. We get like one combat encounter every like 8 months. because that campaign's been running for like 2 years now.
Sounds like one of my games, to be honest.
And just in the last all of the last 4 sessions have been combat because it's been building up to it for a while. Um, and the party's been making jokes like, okay, well, I'll see you all. I'll see you all in like 2 years when we have our next combat encounter because we got rid of all of them for the next 2 years. Uh, and actually, that's another one actually that I don't think I was on our list, but I'd be interested to hear your take on it. What do you feel like combat in tabletop?
It depends very heavily on the game. But by and large, I think that most games make it drag on way too fucking long. Not in that combat is bad, but in that most combats boil down to you figure out a routine for that battle, and then it's just an arbitrary repetition of that routine until the numbers go down. Very few tabletop games are able to present combat in a way that keeps it active,
Yeah,
which is why I
the
avoid
way
it a lot.
yeah. I think the way that I see combat is that I've played in some games where combat was like it was a very like you were fighting against a horde of enemies, and that got really boring really quickly because it's just like I walk up to the guy and I punch him. And if I wanted to have any kind of variety or fun, I would I'd play a spellcaster. Uh and I think the way that like I personally get around that is, if the party is engaged in like a huge battle with an enemy army, they aren't going to be killing the army, they're going to be going after the commanders. So it's just kind of a boss rush instead of being a just sit in place and kill lots of enemies.
The I'm pretty vocal about my distaste for combat in general. Like it has its place and it needs to be there, but people have a tendency to. I've done this too. I'm not immune to this problem. Have a tendency to make these really big, overdrawn, overblown combat encounters, and then like 10 minutes in, I get bored
Yep.
because I found the shtick for the battle. Or in some cases, my character has turns into a shtick for every battle, and then I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna go play Spider-Man.
Yeah, I like to so the way that I get around that as a DM is I admit I'm very inspired by Destiny with this. Uh I like to have each stage of an encounter have mechanics, like raid mechanics. Like, oh, you have to do this stuff, so it's both a puzzle and a fight to keep people engaged. Or, hey, there's this stuff that's always changing, so you have to like swap up your approach, so you have to think about it instead of just I walk up and punch him.
Yeah, there's ways around it. It's a also just not my priority when I run. I just don't care. I just,
Yeah,
yeah, at its best, it's engaging for a player, but running combat is also just not fun for me. So I just don't do it very much.
that's fair.
I just don't. It's the part I care about the least.
Yep. Also, I guess it's a good opportunity. Circling back to the question about the spreadsheet, we
Yeah.
have found out that
it
M did in fact have a spreadsheet for the Halo game, mostly just to do math.
has a
And that apparently,
PowerPoint for the next game we're running.
yeah, for her Marvel character, she's got a PowerPoint
What the
with
fuck, dude?
all of the numbers and all of the abilities that she has. Even though the
The character
the
sheet does
character sheet
all of
does
that
that
for you.
anyway.
I'm going to make fun of her relentlessly tomorrow.
Hang on.
Oh, he's typing something
Yeah,
diabolical in there.
that's I respect her for it, but I'm still going to make fun of her
Oh,
for it.
great friend. Absolutely respect her. I'm going to bully her relentlessly for the foreseeable future over this.
A PowerPoint for a D&D character is wild. Well, not D&D, but you know what I uh, she's great. Um,
But yeah,
was
combat
there.
wise, and I don't know, tabletops are one of those things I have weirdly strong opinions on, just in terms of like the parts I do and don't like. And uh, combat's always been one of them. I've avoided every game that's described to me as combat heavy because I know I would not enjoy myself. I made my
Yeah,
Mass Effect character, and I made him with the explicit purpose of ending combat within 5 rounds, and I succeeded in almost every fight.
yeah. So I've played a lot of pretty combat heavy campaigns. And I agree, they're boring as hell. Uh, I think the way that I get around that is, and partially because I love playing support characters, but I almost always, if in a combat heavy campaign, will play a caster or a support character. Because that's really the best way to get any kind of variety and like fun. Uh, and again, partially
uh,
because I just love playing casters, but
I spend more of my time developing characters' personalities and stuff, so I can be weird little guys than I do. I make a character sheet with the explicit purpose of ending combat. In 5e. Um, in other games it's a little different. Like I think Cyberpunk Red's got pretty engaging combat because
yeah,
you
yeah,
can get fucking slaughtered in like one gunshot if you're not careful. So the inherent engaging aspect of that is every thought does matter. Even if I
right,
only have one or two actions I can actually commit, the when and where and why is super.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
Vampire the Masquerade's pretty good about avoiding. So varied inherently by the nature of the way the clans work that combat kind of keeps itself spiced up just because you never know who's gonna have what powers. And not every situation in Vampire is I'm going to kill a guy. Sometimes I want to put him into torpor, or sometimes I want to beat his ass with a frying pan, but not kill him or knock him out.
yeah. I I've played some Cyberpunk Red. That I love the combat in that. That was really fun. Uh,
Running combat, and that's fun.
yeah, yeah. That's a fun system. Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu combat in Pulp Cthulhu is okay. It's pretty interesting. In that similarly you can get slaughtered in like one hit. Uh,
I think combat in 7th edition Call of Cthulhu sucks, but that system of combat they have is really good for action scenes that aren't combat.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. See, I'm thinking.
Chases are
What's another?
fun. Like hiding from a monster is really fun. That kind
Yeah.
of thing.
I will say, Pathfinder first. It's an interesting run to have combat in. It feels like a rock paper scissors between you and the DM. Uh, initially, and then at higher levels, it feels like you're on a playground saying, "Well, I have this, nuh-uh, I have this, nuh-uh, I
Rock
have this."
scissors gun.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
do like 2nd edition's. So like you have 3 actions and different things cost different amounts of them. That small change has made combat in that so much more bearable to me.
yeah, yeah. I don't. 5e combat's in a weird place for me because it can be fun if you run it as a backdrop for something else. Where like the combat is happening while they're trying to solve a raid mechanic, or the combat is happening while there's roleplay happening, or something like that. But by itself, if it's just combat, that gets really
It
repetitive
drags
quickly.
so fucking hard if your encounter's meant to be an actual fight. Like I said, if I combat, finish it in 5 rounds. If it takes more than 10 real world minutes, you're in 5e.
Yeah, yeah. I 5e's. I like. It feels like it's got all of the bad stuff of Pathfinder combat in that, like, you have to. It gets very repetitive without the good stuff of I can really customize what I do and get like really cool with a lot of fun feats and stuff.
Yeah, not having as much customization, I think, has kind of fucked 5e overall.
Yeah,
It's pretty concretely like a good build for each class, or maybe a couple, but still.
yeah, it suffers from the fact that they tried to make it a very beginner-friendly system, and they simplified it to the point of boredom.
It's like, you know, most paladins are going to be the same kind of paladin. We tell the story about one of our groups flaming Brandon for like to this day for trying to play a war cleric and not have any healing spells.
Yeah, that I remember there was a character in the Thursday game who was there for all of like 3 weeks before the guy changed back to his old character. Where he was playing a wizard and we flamed him relentlessly because he didn't have counterspell.
Yeah, the fact that it's not a question of what spells you have, but like, oh, here's the expectation of what abilities or spells you have, uh, hurts 5e a lot.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I like Pathfinder first because it's very customizable. Pathfinder second to a degree, but man, at the same time, it's like looking at an Excel spreadsheet when I'm looking at my Pathfinder first edition character.
I do think second edition has hit this good middle ground, especially since we have that character builder, so all the hard
Yeah,
work's done for you.
yeah, definitely.
That's something I've
Uh,
appreciated about Daggerheart. It's simplified but customizable enough that I've made some weird shit. Most importantly, combat is inherently quick because it's a based combat system. So,
right.
like, how fast it goes is almost entirely to the like the oh fuck, up to the DM, the discretion. That's what I'm looking for.
Huh. Yeah, I've never actually interacted with Daggerheart. I know you've mentioned you want to run it eventually.
I After the Pathfinder game or running ends, I'm probably going to convert the setting to fit Dagger completely and not run anything else for a while.
Fair.
Uh,
That's high praise, so I'll probably check it out eventually.
because Daggerheart's also a system built for the way I run games, where it's all like a role play focused. There are rules, but it's not contingent necessarily on the roles, and there's systems in place to invalidate or modify roles post roll, and it's very much in everybody's hands what happens.
Right.
There's even a system where so combat in Daggerheart is like the party keeps going until somebody fails a roll, unless the DM spends a currency they have to force it to be their turn.
Right.
So in theory, you could do like 10 attacks in a row, and there's no turn order. Everybody just says what they're gonna do and does it, and then the effects stack until somebody fails, and then it stops, and it's now the DM's turn.
Uh-huh.
Which is great because turn orders are fun and good until I'm 6 rounds deep into combat, and I'm just like, fuck it, man, just roll your dice. I don't even care. While you're rolling, I'm gonna let somebody else go because you gotta give me a number. I'm gonna take that amount of away, kill him. Yeah, it's fine.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, one system that I've played that has a lot of really good combat is the other 40k system that I mentioned earlier, Wrath and Glory. Wrath and Glory has some really fun combat uh, because it's got the very punishing nature of Cyberpunk Red, combined with the fact that, like, man, if you pick a fight with the wrong person, you're just gonna get squished. Uh, and I think it has expedient enough combat where you're just rolling a bunch of d6s to not drag it down, but it's not so boring that it like has the opposite effect. Um, Most of the combats that you run, for better or worse, will be over within like 10-15 minutes.
As it should be.
Uh, the the thing that I really like is like, yes, it will be over within 10 to 15 minutes, and this includes if you're running like huge horde combats. Because you can run huge horde combats and it has rules for that, and it's basically just like there's clusters of it turns the horde into clusters of guys that function as individual groups.
Yeah, that's how I tend to do that kind of thing too. If there's enough, you've seen me do it before, where I'll just say this is your group and you're going to affect this entire group with one attack.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
I wanna
think.
loop back for just 1 second and say since I spent so much time shitting on that fucking seemingly shitting on that Elder Scrolls game we played, I also want to point out that it was very fun and very good.
Yes,
And I
yeah,
and I
no,
had I had one complaint that entire time, and it was partially my own fault. But it was very funny in the context of what we were talking about.
yes, yes. The Elder Scrolls game, fantastic. Love that system. Well, system's okay. Love the setting. Um, he's doing a really good job of that, and the characters are fantastic.
Characters are good. The game was run very well. I just got into a very unfortunate circumstance where I did nothing in entire combat and played Spider-Man.
Yeah, I adore the 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 party we're playing with. Spider, Jameer, that guy no one remembers.
Which one?
I feel so bad.
Whose character
What
was
was
it?
that? M's.
Fabian?
Fabian. Yeah, I mean, it makes it's funny in context because
Who's this
in
guy?
universe,
Who are you?
like nobody knows who Fabian is, despite him being a supposedly a famous playwright. Uh, Fabian, I think, might be one of my favorite, aside from Spider, because I just adore playing that awful little creature. Uh, Fabian is so funny. He is such a
I've
mess, and
never
I love him
spent more
for that.
time trying to convince a man his wife doesn't love him.
Yeah, we spent like close to an hour, almost 2 hours, real world, wasn't it?
Too
Like
real world. Just sitting
trying
there.
to convince this character that his wife doesn't love him. Well, his ex-wife. Sorry. Uh, that campaign is so goofy. Uh, I don't know if I really have anything
I
else
I
to.
I think I've covered what we're almost at 2 hours anyway, so we've hit probably a pretty good point there.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, what are we gonna talk about next month? I have no fucking clue. I figured it out the day before.
Yep, our messages are like about a day before we did this. Like, hey, what do we want to talk about? Uh, hey, other group we're a part of. What should we talk about?
Get 4 ideas, pick them, move on with our life. Do
Yep.
absolutely zero research because who the fuck do you think I am?
I mean, hey, okay. I'm gonna take some credit here. I did do a whole 5 minutes of Google searching to find out what games are coming out.
Yeah, I did that while we were going. I don't know if it counts as research if I'm typing it up while I'm talking about it.
It's close enough.
I'll take it. I'm gonna give myself a research credit this time.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Bye bye.
See ya.